We've talked a lot about inverses already. We've talked about equations. All right. So number 1, we have negative 19 plus 4x equals 8x plus 5. Negative 19 plus 4x equals 8x plus 5. All right, yesterday I noticed some of us, as we were writing work down on a whiteboard, we drew a line and we just kind of just drew a line randomly. Where does our vertical line have to go? Or where should it go? That's okay. You're here. No, we're on our notes. Down the equal sign. Good. So it's to keep our equal sign separate. So down our equal sign. Keep our two sides separate, not our equal sign separate. All right, so what's different about this problem compared to other problems? What do you see?
Variables on both sides.
Variables on both sides. So on the left side, we have a 4x. And on the right side, we have 8x. So that's why I'm using one highlighter today, is for that. So if you want to grab a highlighting page. All right, so we have 4x and 8x. They're on two different sides. So our first thing we need to do is we want those x's to be on the same side. We don't want them to be separated. They need to be in the same room. So in order to move rooms, though, we can't just combine terms because they're not on the same sides. We can't just do 4x and 8x. We have to undo it to move it. Okay? All right. So do you guys want to move the 4x over to the 8x or the 8x over to the 4x? 4 over to the 8. Some teachers have taught it where you always move the smaller one. It doesn't matter which one you move. You can choose. So let's move this 4x. So how would I undo adding 4x on this side?
Minus.
Good. And if we do it to one side, do it to the other. And on the other side, I'm going to put it right underneath that 8x because they are like terms. Okay, so now this 4x and negative 4x, those are gone. We're left with, negative 19 equals 8 minus 4, 4x, and then we still have that plus 5. So in this first steps here, if you want to write a little note to yourself, if you're like, again, some of us when we look back at our math, I talked about this the first time a lot in the first couple lessons. Some of us, when we look back at our math, we're like, oh, cool, we did math. How did we do it? I don't know. So if you want to write a step here, what we did was we moved variables to the same side. We moved variables to the same side. That's the only really big difference today, is that we have to move them so they're together. Now at this point, we just solve it. Remember we talked about that nice, cozy, comfy sweatshirt, your go-to sweatshirt? This equation should feel like our go-to equation. We're going to get x by itself. So if you want to work ahead now and solve, you can. In order to get x by itself, am I going to undo the 4 next or the 5? 5. And how do we undo adding 5? Minus. Do it on one side. Do it on the other. Focus. Quit distracting. I'm sorry. All right, negative 19 minus 5. Negative 24, yeah. When they're both minus, we can think of them as both negatives, and we add. So negative 24 equals, what do we have left on the other side? 4x. Divide by 4. Negative 24 divided by a positive 4, negative 6. All right, so if I take a look last year, it's really interesting. Last year with my notes, I have notes from last year. That's what I look at if you're ever like, where did she get these problems? It's because I just have my notebook from last year. We changed a couple things here and there. But this is the one that we did last year. If you look at it, it's not quite the same. So what did my class last year, what did they decide to do different? Yeah, they got rid of the 8. So rather than doing minus 4x, they moved the x's to the left side. So then minus 8x.
Did they get the same answer?
Did we get the same answer? Yep. So it doesn't matter which side you move. Some people, they always like to move it to the left side. Some people, they always move the smaller one. All right, just as a reminder, I'm going to show you real quick why we do what we do. I know some of you are like, why is she showing us this? I don't know, because it's fun. So negative 19 plus 4 times, what is our x? Negative 6. Okay, so one side we get negative 43. Now on the other side, if I do 8 times, what's our x? Negative 6 plus 5, what happens with our answers? They're the same. So that was our goal, was to find an x so that this answer matched this answer. Just like the warm-up, but the warm-up was a little bit simpler. It was just 2 plus 6, 2 times 4, where we got the same answer on both sides. All right, one more, number 2. How long is number 2? Longer.
How many pounds do I have to lose?
79. 51 minus 3w. I'm just kidding. I don't remember.
This is the last one?
This is the last one for today, yeah, on their notes. Equals negative 5 times the quantity of. What does times the quantity of mean when I write it in math? Times would be the dot, but if I want a quantity, that means like a separate amount. So that's where we do that as parentheses. So negative 5 times the quantity of 3 plus 2w minus 15w. So this one has a lot going on. You're probably like, Miss Morrell, how the heck did we just go from number 1 to number 2? And it's because we know all the little steps here. Now we're just putting those little steps, we've worked on them, we're putting them all together and combining those lessons. So, where are my variables? Where do you see? The w. So I have a minus 3w, a 2w, and a negative 15w. So when I do this problem, do I want to just start solving and getting things to the same side? Or should I simplify one side? Yeah, we need to simplify one of the sides. I'm going to simplify this side with the parentheses. This side, it's just 2 terms. So that's usually our goal, is we just want 2 parts. This one, when I look at it, it's a lot. So if I simplify this side, what am I going to do first? How would I simplify? Good. How did you know negative 5 times 3? It's connected. It's touching those parentheses. This is where I'm using my other highlighter today. If you don't want to use a highlighter there, you don't have to. I'm just going to show that we looked at those parentheses was a really important part. All right, we're getting to the point where we don't have to write that multiplying. If that's something you need to do, you can. What's negative 5 times 3? Negative 15. Negative 5 times 2. Negative 10. And then we have that, so I have that minus 15w. So we'll get it figured out in just a moment, I promise. I know you're stressed out. Just give it us a moment. Yeah, it's annoying. I got you. All right, so over here, is this simplified yet? No, so this is the part that gets a little goofy. We have a negative 10w and a negative 15w, or minus 15w. Do we have to undo them? Do we have to move sides? No, they're on the same side. So because they're on the same side, we just combine them. So we're just thinking negative 10 minus 15. So if I start at negative 10 and I go backwards 15 more, I already went backwards 10. I'm going to go backwards 15 more. How many backwards is that total? 25. So negative 25W. All right, is that simplified? Is there anything else I can do with a negative 15 and a negative 25W? Right, now we'd have to start solving. So I'm going to rewrite my equation at this point, 51 minus 3W. And now I still see that we have a 25W on one side and a 3W on the other side. So we need to get those W's to the same side. That's our goal. Last time we moved the X's to the right side, so let's move them to the left side this time. So let's get rid of that negative 25W. Good, plus 25, and if we do it to one side? Do it to the other. Now what's really important though is when I say plus 25, it's not just 25, it's 25W. So it's going to go underneath the 3W. All right, so 51 drops down. We have to be really careful with this one because it's not just a 3. It's a minus 3 or like a negative 3. So how do we undo a negative 3? Or I'm sorry, not undo. My bad. So if we have negative 3 plus 25. It's like we're starting at negative 3 and we're going forward. We're jumping forward 25. We'll jump past 0. So really we're thinking like 25 minus 3. 22. Equals negative 15. So now that we have just one variable, we have 22W. There's only one term with that W. Now it's just that nice, cozy fall sweatshirt that it's our go-to. So now it's just solving a two-step equation, and hopefully we're starting to feel like we got this part. Okay, if you're looking at this and you're still like panicked, please ask for help. Okay, this is the part where hopefully at this point we're feeling good. So are we going to undo the 22 next or the 51? 22 is best friends. You're right, Hamza. How do you get rid of 51? Subtract 51. Do it on one side. Bring down that 22W equals negative 15 minus 51. If you need to use a calculator, use it. Okay, they're both negative, so really we're thinking, are we going to add them or subtract them?
Subtract first.
Add. When they're both negative, we actually add them, and we end up at negative 66. Okay, last step. Undo multiply by dividing. As we keep going further and further, I'm going to start using more and more of that fraction line rather than using the division symbol. But if you still use the division symbol, that's okay. So W equals negative 66 divided by 22, negative 3. All right, that is it for notes today. However, for our quick check, it's a little different than normal. So I do want to talk about our quick check. So before you move, don't move yet, I want